everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So I have my June wrap up for you. Way too long into July, but I mean, July 4th just throws me all off. I don't know about it. That happens to you guys or anybody else with that holiday, but it's like I lost a chunk of time. I don't know what happened. Actually, I know what happened. I was celebrating and at the lake and having fun with friends and family. It was fantastic. It was a great weekend. So anyways, here I am. June wrap up. I read 8 books this month, which I listened to quite a few of them. So at first when I was looking, because I always kind of pile the books I've read over here, and I'm like, that's a really small pile, but yeah, it was a lot of Kindle and a lot of listening to books, which is kind of, I guess, the name of the game for this summer. Anyways, I didn't have any 5-star books. It was kind of like the month of 4-star reads, pretty much is where we're at. So we'll get started. First one I listened to is Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth. This was one I got off of Libro.fm, I believe. I got this in Scribed, which is not Scribed anymore. What is it? Everand? No? I don't know. Whatever the app is. I'll leave it below. So I got this in there. This one follows 3 sisters who were all adopted by the same mother or fostered by the same mother, and they're coming together kind of years later because the place where they grew up, there was recently a body discovered there. So you kind of are getting the story through what they're remembering and what they're kind of freely talking about with each other as they're trying to figure out what's going on, because they've been kind of called back to answer some questions for sure. So really good. 4 stars. It was one of those that I couldn't stop listening to. Loved every single word. I had feelings about what was going to happen, or thoughts on kind of what the truth was, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to, or if that was just me like figuring it out before I should have figured it out. I don't know. Either way, it didn't take away from the story. I really, really enjoyed it. So very good book. Next one I picked up was Night Watching by Tracy Sierra. I know I just talked about this in my 5-star predictions wrap up. I give this one 4 stars. It sounded like the perfect book to me, like isolated thriller, home alone with her young children during a blizzard. A mom is tucking her son into bed and she hears a noise and realizes there's somebody in her house with her, and what does she do from there? This is an like double underline psychological thriller, because Tracy gets in your head with our main character. What's her name? Doesn't even say. Did we ever know her name? I don't even know. Gets in her head with like where she is and what she's thinking and how she's trying to plan the next step and keep them safe, yet try to figure out who is in her house and why are they there. And so there were times I was a bit lost and confused and wasn't sure if this like unreliable character or reliable, I don't know, but it was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. I loved how it was not like a super quick wrap up, but I feel like the pacing was really, really well done for the book, because sometimes with these you get like this big build up and then this plateau in the middle and then this huge finish at the end, and it remained, I think, a pretty steady pace. So really enjoyed this book. Highly recommend. The next book I listened to on Everand, that is the app's name, is The Berry Pickers. This is by Amanda Peters. This one I gave 3.5, 3.75. Couldn't quite give it a 4 stars because it was just kind of, I didn't find myself like wanting and being pulled into the book the entire time. Towards the end I was, but not the entire time. I mean, very well done audiobook, I think. It's about an indigenous family who migrates from Canada into Maine every summer to pick berries. And one summer, one of their youngest child, this little girl, is kidnapped. So you're following along the story with how it happened, what happened after it. It does take place in the past. I want to say it's like the 70s maybe, when it's happening, multiple character POVs. It was a really, really great book. I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. It didn't like blow my mind, but it's definitely something that I think other people should read. I thought it was great. The next one I read on my Kindle through Kindle Unlimited is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. I'm like on this Rebecca Yarros kick this year. I have read, this is my 4th one by her, I think. This one I did really like. It had a bit of a dual timeline, so you have story in the past, story in the present. I liked the past story a little bit better. That one takes place during World War II. It follows sisters and their involvement within the war effort. There's a bit of a romance there. And then we have our present day story that follows like relatives of one of the sisters. Once she came to the United States, she was a writer and was prolific writer in all of these romance books. And so she had passed away and she had one more book, but it wasn't finished. And so they hire somebody to kind of finish the book. And that book is about their story and what happened during World War II. So really enjoyed it. I love the romance, but again, I liked the past storyline a little bit better than the present. So it was good. It was good. What did I give it? 4 stars. I liked it. Then I went with one of the most disturbing books that I've read. I asked Vicky from Vicky's Book Nook and this was a while ago, I asked her, like probably over a year ago. I asked her for one of the most disturbing books she's ever read, and so she gave me this one, and wow. It's called The Girl Next Door by Jack Ketchum. It is about a family we mainly follow this one boy. I think his name's Danny. And he befriends the kids next door. And this does take place in the past, 70s-ish. And it's a very rough family. Not a lot of rules. They kind of probably push the envelope a little bit. And he ends up kind of joining in with this group. Well, that family ends up taking in 2 girls, I think it's their nieces, whose parents just passed away. Bring them to the house, and all the trigger warnings, because the way these girls were treated was horrendous. It was hard to get through at times, and I kept wanting our main character to do something. In a way, he was, to a certain extent, and again, it did make me think, I'm like, he's not doing what I want him to do. Well, it's like, should he be doing what I want him to do? I don't know. Like, it was interesting, like the thoughts I had in my head, like the moral dilemmas that he's put into. And then when I get to the end and I find out that this is based on a true story. Pure evil, basically. So if you're looking for something very disturbing, I don't even know how to rate these books. I gave it 3 stars because I don't know how to rate a book like that. But now I'm like all in on researching like what is this real story that happened. This was released in 1989, so it is a little older. But wow, mind blowing. And not in a good way. So next one I read, let's get past that, is The Island by Adrienne McKinty. This was one of my Roll Your Next Read choices, which did not lead me astray. This is fantastic. My second book by Adrienne McKinty. Absolutely loved. This follows a family who finds themselves on vacation. They end up going to this island to kind of explore a little bit. And so good. Suspenseful. They're stuck there. There is some crazy things happen. There's a very what does he call it? A tightly knit clan of locals that live on this island and kind of have their own way of running things. And this family quickly realizes that they are so totally in the wrong place, and it's not good. So survival, suspense, all kinds of great things. I loved it. I gave that 4 stars. That was great. Then I listened to a very short book. I actually listened to this in one day while we were doing yard work, I think. This was recommended to me from Amber from Books and Beaches. I want to say she brought it up at our book club. It is one of our own by Lucinda Berry. Super short book, super full of like packs a huge punch. I gave it 4 stars. The production of this audiobook was phenomenal, like full cast. It had like parts where our main character would call in. It starts out with our main character works for a suicide prevention center. So like it's a crisis hotline that she works for, and a girl calls in and she's realizing that this girl goes to the same school that her son goes to and is dealing with a horrible situation. And so she becomes very invested in this teenage girl's situation and how it connects to her son. And it is, I mean, full production. It's so good. It's so good. I mean, Unput Downable. This is the definition of Unput Downable. You could not stop listening to it. So 4.5 stars. It was fantastic. I loved it. Highly recommend. If you pick any book out of my stack, read that one. Or this one, I don't know. Then I also listened to The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. Again, crazy busy time in my life. Listening to books is how I'm getting through things, even though I have the physical copy. I got this for Christmas book exchange. Who bought me this one? I think Krista did. That looks like her handwriting. This follows Jeanette Walls' story. It's her memoir of growing up with some very interesting parents. One is definitely an alcoholic, is her father, and her mom is, I don't know, lives in La La Land or something. Their definition of taking care of children is very different from society's definition of taking care of children, which makes me wonder, like, was it totally wrong? Was it right? I don't know. But lovely book. Obsessed with this book. 4 stars for sure. I want to know more. Like, it's wild. It's wild what she grew up in. I mean, just this idea you just get up and leave and not really having a home yet. Like, it's wild. It's so good. So, written really well. The audiobook was fantastic. Loved every single page of it. It was so good. I did also start 14 Days. This is by edited by Margaret Atwood. It is written from the perspective of like 23 authors. That's a lot of authors. Collaborative now. Let's see. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, 22, 4, 6, 8, 30, 36 authors. Oh my goodness. So it basically is set during COVID-19. It is an apartment building over the course of 14 days. And so the chapters are per day. So I'm on day 3. I read day 1 and 2. Because the chapters are fairly long because it's per day. And each character is a different author. And you're just kind of learning about their lives, how they're dealing with COVID-19 and so forth. I've put it down. I started reading it. I don't know. It didn't grab my attention right away. I think I'll get back to it. I don't know. I'm not quite ready to say DNF, but it's not like pulling me into it. So those were the books I read and put down in the month of June. Currently reading on my Kindle a little bit. I'm also in the midst of Resisting Happiness by Matthew Kelly. This is a little bit of a self-help book about, me trying to be a better person. I'm going to do a buddy read of Bodies to Die For in July, as well as, where did it go? Here it is. Buddy read of Life Through Barry. Plus it's on my 5-star predictions, so I got to get through those. And I should probably look up what our book club books are coming up and figure what those out too. So anyways, that's my plan. That's what I read in June. It was a pretty decent month, I would say, overall. Just not a 5-star one, which is fine. I'm kind of being a little more stingy with my 5 stars because they should be brilliant and sometimes they're not. So anyways, we've babbled on enough today. Comment, like, subscribe, all of that fun stuff, and I will see you next time. Bye.